again, thank you all for being here. I'm delighted to see so much interest in the revitalization effort, but I suspect some of you are here for a different purpose. So let me first explain to everyone that's here. Our revitalization meetings are, we do not discuss planning issues. So I'm going to tell you that right off the top. The purpose of the revitalization effort, and I'll go back to when we started off, it's really to answer the question, what are the needs in the community now and in the future? And mostly what we're talking about are capital projects where, like some of the accomplishments for those of you who have not attended one of our meetings. If you look at the pink sheets, those are some of the things that we have looked at in terms of trying to improve the backcountry communities. And I hope for some of you that are here today for the first time to one of our meetings that we might be able to get you interested in some of the subcommittees where we've had actually some difficulty in getting some interest in. The library, the Campo Library, the Potrero Library, as a matter of fact, was an outgrowth of this revitalization effort. So it's a chance for the different communities of the backcountry to identify what projects, like we're working here in the community center. Little Padres Park was a joint effort with the community center and the Padres. So, and you can see some of the projects and what we've accomplished. Different people come from different agencies depending on what the issues is. And when we started out this effort a couple of years ago, actually it came out of one of my colleagues that I had, and I was getting a lot of questions on a lot of things. Why don't we do this? Why don't we do that? So I thought, well, I had established one of these types of organizations for Lakeside and Ramona and Spring Valley. And so I thought, why not the backcountry, even though we have a lot of different communities? So we could really, together, focus on some interests, identify priorities as to what the needs were, and then work on it. It also brings county staff here face-to-face with folks that live out in the backcountry communities so that you get acquainted firsthand, for example, with people from our Park and Recreation Department, Health and Human Services, some of them that you heard today, your Border Patrol, the Sheriff's Department, California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, and so on. So that you have an opportunity, at least when we meet, which is not but twice a year, all the work gets done in the subcommittees. So the level of activity that goes on within the subcommittees in between the times that we meet is directly related to how successful we are in trying to move forward with projects that are needed in the community. And like we have a fire safe council here, and there's good reason for that too. So with that, since I'm not blind and I see some of the Blackwater shirts and I also read the paper, let me just be clear. Again, we're not going to be talking about this project today or any other project. And even when I'm out in the community, and those that have communicated with me, you've received a letter from me basically stating that if and when this project ever comes to the Board of Supervisors, that I will take into consideration all of the written correspondence, verbal correspondence that would be occurring at hearings before making a decision. So I have not made a decision, and it would be against the county law for me to engage in even talking to you about it today. So we have a very firm, and this is hard for some folks to understand, but I think it's important that every one of you here that have taken the time to be here, that have an interest in this project, understand this. I'm not trying to duck the issue. It's a county law that's been in place for years and years and years. And I'll tell you how it came about. It came about, well, it was way before I was on the board, probably goes back to the 60s, maybe 70s. In fact, Jim Baer was a member of the Board of Supervisors, and he was making deals under the table on development projects. And so at that time, the board was out to put a stop to that. And so the law that was put in place, which I think is a good one, because it's all about fairness, that I, as a decision maker on any land development project, after an application is filed with the county, am prohibited from talking to any interested parties outside the hearing process. So certainly you can correspond with me, write to me, as a lot of you have, and when the hearing process goes forward, to make your feelings known by appearing at the hearing. And there's a whole public process. What my office can help you with, and Adam Wilson is my land use person, is on procedural issues. You know, if you have a question about process or hearings, want to make sure you get on a list so you'll be notified, we can certainly advise you on the process. So I hope that helps all of you, and we're going to get on with our business today that we're here to get on with. But again, with so much interest in the room, I would hope that maybe we can get some of you interested in participating in one of the subcommittees. What we're going to do is report out, have reports from the different subcommittees, and just get a progress report at this meeting to see where we are and if there's any problems that you've had that need to be brought to my attention in terms of what we're trying to do here. Unless there's any questions, we'll be moving forward.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We're not going to discuss Blackwater. I was coming in late. I was wondering, why did you meet with representatives privately then in Oklahoma?
That was way before they ever were thinking about filing an application, and I'll tell you why I did. Congressman Hunter had called me and asked if I would meet with a few folks. And I said, yes, I would, and I sat down and I met with them. At the time I agreed to the meeting, I had no idea who they were, what they were about, and that's it. There was one meeting and that's it. And by the way, I often do that. I'll get calls from either citizens, or sometimes I get calls from developers a lot. And because I have a large unincorporated area, as most of you might imagine, and they like to come in to talk to me before they even think about filing an application for a project. And I'll tell you what my pat answer, my standard answer is. If you're thinking about doing anything in the 2nd Supervisorial District, go work with the community. And that means whatever community might be affected.
Well,
and
a follow-up question. You met with them and you didn't know too much what the project was about.
No, I knew nothing because there was nothing. There was nothing.
When your office emailed the county with your heading on the an overview of Blackwater in May 11th to the county, it talks about where it was in Potrero. It talked all about where the economics would be, where it would be. That was May 11th. Your office emailed the county, and you had the meeting in May the 23rd. So you might not have seen that email then, right? Or that pamphlet that was emailed, or not emailed, but fax from your office to the county. It was fax with a
what I'm telling you,
May
sir,
11th date on it, and you met in May the 23rd.
well, I didn't bring a chronology of events with me. What I'm telling you is the honest to God truth, as it occurred, and so be it. You know, there's a process. Any applicant that is interested in trying to do something in the unincorporated area has a legal right to process an application. And that process has to go through and meet the CEQA requirements, California Environmental Quality Act, has to go through the planning department, and it's a lengthy process. As I understand where this particular project is, I don't even know if it started the environmental review, but it'll be a very lengthy process. So I would just urge you to stay engaged. If you want to get hung up on when I met or what I met about or try to refute what I just told you, if you want to spend your time doing that, have at it. I mean, that's up to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm telling you about the meeting I had, how it occurred, and I had one meeting, that was it. Period. And that was way before an application was filed, and at the time, I had never met these people before, and I did not know who they were. I did it out of respect for the congressman. Pure and simple. Yes, sir.
2 points. One is that very few projects have a congressperson call the member of the Board of Supervisors about a project, number one. And number two, you're asking us to believe that he just called you and said, Diane, there's a little project that I'm interested in. I don't want to tell you what it's about or anything, but could you just meet with him? I mean, it's hard to believe that he didn't say to you, it's a such and such a kind of project, and give you some description of it so that you would know what it was about.
Well, first of all, it's not unusual for me to get a call from the congressman. It's not unusual for me to get a call from Senator Hollingsworth or the assembly person that represents or is represented. We work together on a lot of things. Sir, you and others can believe whatever you want to believe. What I'm telling you is the truth, and I stand by my word. So, I mean, you can let your imaginations go wild if you wish, but I would suggest that you not spend your time doing that, but to engage in the process, as many of you are, and you should, and follow it all along the way. And if you need any help procedurally and knowing about that process, my office is happy to give you any help you need. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there's another project in Alpine they were talking about on the radio the other morning, Covert Canyon, and there's a website, and it looks to me like it's the same kind of project as Blackwater wants to get approved, but it's already in place out there, and it says DOD approved in 2006. So is there a way for the Department of Defense to bypass local planning and get their own kind of paramilitary training place put in there, helicopters, the whole thing?
First of all, this is, today is the first I ever heard about this.
It was on KLSC the other morning with Stacey Taylor.
Yeah, well, I didn't hear it. So it just came to my attention earlier today.
So they have, it's in Alpine, but they have gone through Alpine planning group meetings or minutes for the last, from 2003 to 2007, and there's nothing.
Well, let me answer your question.
So it hasn't gone through a planning group.
First of all, I know nothing about it,
Covert Canyon.
other than what I read in an email today and what you have just said to me. Again, you can check with the planning department. My staff would be happy to find out what the status is on that. If there has been an application filed, I'm not aware as we sit here. The question is, can the Department of Defense come into San Diego County and just do what they want to do? The federal government, or the state government, for that matter, could come in to San Diego County and they could buy a piece of property and they can completely bypass the local planning process if they build like a federal facility. If it's the feds that come in and buy a piece of property, that what they put on that property then would have to be for a federal purpose.
It's not
Okay.
federally owned, it's owned by somebody named Mark.
I'm just answering your question now.
Okay.
So the state of California can do the same thing. In fact, I'll give you an example of the federal government. A post office. This happened in Ramona, where the feds came in and they bought a piece of property. They completely bypassed the local planning group, county planning process, and all of a sudden, here we see this post office, no consideration for circulation or roads or anything. So the federal government can do that, the state government can do that. Again, the specifics of what you're asking me, I don't know, but we can find out more and we can get back with you. If you leave, this is Paula, and if you leave Paula, your name and a number, we'll get back with you to find out what we know about this Alpine situation.
Sam, can we move the agenda?
Yes.
A lot of us have been here for quite a while, and we've got a long agenda.
Yes. Thank you, Roger. I am going to move on, but I wanted, did you want to say anything?
I just have one question about the issue itself. And is it a land use issue, or is it within the county, just because I'm totally different from the state level? Is this a land use issue, or does the politics come into play with, well, I want these kind of things in my neighborhood, and I don't want these kind of things in my neighborhood?
From a county perspective, it is strictly a land use issue. And what the county is going to be looking at this project as well as any other project, I mean, you've got other projects that are pending out here. It would be the same process. There'd be the same environmental review, the same public hearing process, and then ultimately, if it ever gets to the Board of Supervisors, that would be the ultimate decision. But before it gets there, it would go to the County Planning Commission and so on. So, yeah, the county's looking at it strictly as a land use matter. Okay, let's move on. I hope some of you don't leave, because I think you'll find what we do here is really important to the communities too. Infrastructure, highways and roads, Roger?
Okay.
And if you folks have a matrix, if you don't, I'd urge you to get one, and hopefully we have enough. You can follow along with